Hi everybody, good morning and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and I just want you to click on the notification bell just so that you get notified the moment I give you any update. I want to apologize for not uploading any video lately. I don't have any excuse, but I want to say I am very sorry. And today we are going to talk about information and the information pyramid. We are having this content because I believe it's very important that we all get to know that we have access to the right information and we are making good use of them. So before we get to the part where I get to tell you how to verify information, how to avoid misinformation, how to make sure you have the accurate information and all that, I just want to give you the basis of it. This you would only get access to if you are with me here, or you are very fortunate to be given information studies as one of your courses that you study at the University of Ghana. So if you are not a student of University of Ghana's Department of Information Studies, then this is the right place that you have to get accurate information on how you deal with information. Please do stay tuned and we'll get into it. We are looking at information and the information pyramid. You've heard me mention information on countless occasions. You may not know what it means, and even if you do, you may not know how to deal with it properly. But this content is going to take us through what information is and the information pyramid. So basically what information is about, how we able to arrive at the term information, how we get it. And I know for those in Ghana, you may have already read something in junior high school about information in information communication and technology subject. But this, you may see a bit of that here. After this session, we are going to go very much into detail as to how we deal with information the right way. So let's get into it. Getting into it, we are going to look at information. Before we'll be able to define information, we need to pay attention to one particular diagram, and that is the information pyramid. You see the information pyramid beneath it. The information pyramid has shapes, different shapes. It's just like the Maslow's theory of need. It's a triangular. It has one big triangular shape, and then it has been put into sections. So each section has a term, and at each section there are different things that are being done there. But whatever this triangle is about, the end of it all is to talk to us about information. So you see at the pyramid, at the base of the pyramid is data. And before we get into knowing what data is, you realize that the base of the pyramid is bigger than the second base of the pyramid. So as we progress from the first base, which has data, you realize that the shape keeps on reducing. I will tell you why later, but now let's look at what data is. Data could be raw facts, it could be figures, it could be numerals, it could be just alphabet. So it could be numbers, it could be alphabet, it could be anything that is just raw, that has not been processed. So they are just raw facts. They could be words put together, but they are just raw facts. So looking at data, you realize that I mentioned it could be numerals, it could be alphabet. You realize that we've put in I and then S, two different alphabets together, and then we had S. And we've put in three different alphabets together, to get Ama. So we did the same, and we had Kofi, we had sick, and we had malaria. So all these things that you see on the screen are raw facts, they are data. So we have data Ama, we have data S, we have data mosquito, we have data malaria, we have other data that we've been able to collect. We put those things together to get that. So my name is Victoria. So Victoria is a data in this situation because we've put alphabets together, alphabet VICTORIA. We've put them together in order to get the name Victoria. So data are raw facts that have been put together to give us a word or a collection of words. The moment we are able to process that data, then we'll be getting close to knowing how we get information. So we have all this data, this collection of data, the Ama, Kofi, sick, S, malaria, mosquitoes. We've identified them as a collection of data. So now, in order to process, the processing here means putting them together. So if we are putting any of these list of data together, we can get a processed data like sick is Ama. So we have sick is Ama as a processed data. That is a processed data, and there is no two ways about it. It can be disputed. So we've identified sick as a data, we identified S as a data, we identified Ama as a data, and we putting them together. We had sick is Ama. That is a processed data. But then I would want to ask, if I meet you and I tell you sick is Ama, have I communicated anything to you at all? Have I given you anything that you can make meaning out of? Yes, I had a collection of data and then I put them together. But did this sound well for you? Did you understand? That is where we draw the distinction between a processed data, that is a merely processed data, and then a processed data that gives meaning. So let's look at the second data that we process. Ama is sick. That is the second data that we processed. So we process sick as Ama, and then now Ama is sick. So if I meet you and I tell you Ama is sick, you definitely would understand me. You would know. If you and I know one particular Ama, then you would be informed that, oh, Ama is sick, she isn't well. So at that instance, I'm giving you information because I did not just process the data, I processed it to give meaning. So briefly, information is a processed data that gives meaning, or processing data or raw fact. If you don't want to use data, processing raw fact to give meaning. So you need a data or a list of data which has been processed to give meaning in order to get information. So data, process, meaning, gives information. Now that we've been able to define information, get to know how we arrive at the term information and how is distinct from data, how merely processed data is distinct from a processed data with meaning. We would go back to the pyramid, and then I would explain to you why the data section of the pyramid is bigger than the information section of the pyramid. The data section of the pyramid is bigger than the information section of the pyramid because a lot of people have access to data, but it's not everybody that is able to process them to give meaning. So you see, we have a lot of people at the base part of the pyramid, but when we move to information, that reduces. So it means a number of people are unable to process the data they have to give meaning. and that is why it drops. So next time, if you have information, if you have data, make sure you process it to give meaning, and then you will move from the base part of the pyramid, which is data, to the second base part of the pyramid. You will be part of the few people that are able to move from the data stage to the information stage. That is how interesting information is. You don't just create them, you create them to make meaning. Now we are going to look at the other parts of the pyramid, knowledge and wisdom. What at all is knowledge? Everybody seems to have knowledge or know something. Everybody seems to have wisdom, at least the Bible admonishes it. So what is knowledge and wisdom doing in information pyramid? I will tell you why and how it got here. Let's look at knowledge. The moment we had the information that Amma is sick, or as soon as I told you that Amma is sick, let me use an illustration. This is Kofi, this is Amma, and I am Victoria. I came to tell both Kofi and this Kofi and let me use different names. So Victoria came to tell Kofi and that Amma is sick. Now Kofi is having the information that Amma is sick. Is having the information that Amma is sick. And then says, oh, sorry. So after Victoria telling them that Amma is sick, just tells Victoria that, oh, sorry, she'll be fine. And Amma drops out of the conversation. Now we have Kofi. Sorry, drops out from the conversation. We have Kofi. Kofi then begins to ask, what is happening to Amma? What is she sick of? We know Amma is sick. What is she sick of? Then Kofi decides to probe further. Kofi asks Victoria, why? What is happening to Amma? Amma is sick of. What is happening to her? What kind of illness is Amma battling with? So Kofi asks himself some sorts of questions, and then finally Kofi realizes or gets to know that Amma is sick of malaria. So you know now the difference between and Kofi is that the moment had the information from Victoria, she understood it all right, but that was the end for her. She didn't do anything further. But the moment Kofi heard that same information, he began asking himself questions. He began trying to make meaning, further meaning, and then putting context into the information he had. And the moment Kofi does that, or the moment Kofi started doing that, he was moving from the information part of the pyramid to the knowledge part of the pyramid. So let's look at what I have. So before you get to the knowledge part of the pyramid, you'll be asking yourself, the question that needs to be answered is what you will do with the information you have. So I give you information that Amma is sick. If you find out and then you realize that Amma is sick of malaria, it means you've pushed further to have further knowledge of the information that I gave you. But the moment you hear Amma is sick, you say sorry, and that is the end. It means you just stay at the information part of the pyramid. So now, using the Kofi illustration I gave you, let's go back to the pyramid. Knowledge. So Kofi had the information and he put further meaning into it. He made further inquiries, and then he was able to arrive at the conclusion that Amma is sick. So now Kofi, after being told Amma is sick, knows that he now knows that Amma is not just sick, but she is sick of malaria. So that is the knowledge part of the pyramid. And I will take you back to the pyramid again. You realize that data, the knowledge part of the pyramid is also relatively small than the information part of the pyramid. And that is to tell you that with the illustration we used, Amma just dropped the moment she heard dropped the moment she heard the information that Amma is sick. That was the end for her. But then Kofi moved further. So it's simply telling us that a lot of people may have processed the data to give meaning and have gotten to the information part of the pyramid. But it's just a few of those people at the information part of the pyramid that would be able to go a step further to make meaning and put context into the information they have in order to get to the knowledge part of the pyramid. So you see, as we move from a stage to the other in the pyramid, you realize it keeps on reducing. So you may have data, but you can't process it to give meaning, so you will not get to the information pyramid. But if you're fortunate enough to process to get to the information part of the pyramid, and you just stick to whatever information you have, then you're also not moving to the knowledge part of the pyramid. And now let's look at the final and the apex of the pyramid. That is knowledge. And before we even get to look at it, that is a very small triangle. We all could see that it's a very small triangle, such that I'm sure it could be three of the section of wisdom can make up data or even information, if I'm not exaggerating. But the wisdom part of the pyramid is very, very small. And that is simply to tell you, as usual, that it's not everybody that is able to get to the knowledge part of the pyramid gets to the wisdom part of the pyramid, because they are unable to process the knowledge or go further or do something else to get there. And you don't just get there. I'm going to take you through how you get to the wisdom part of the pyramid. Stay with me. So now we have the knowledge that Amma is sick of malaria. Now Kofi is the one having the knowledge that Amma is sick of malaria. This is Kofi, my 5 fingers. So this part of my hand is representing Kofi. Okay, so Amma is sick of malaria. That is the knowledge Kofi is having. The moment Kofi decides to stick to Amma is sick of malaria, he drops out. So he stays at the knowledge part of the pyramid. But the moment Kofi decides to find out more information about what to do if someone is sick of malaria, how does malaria occurs, like how do one get malaria? Yes, let me put it right that way. How do someone get sick of malaria? What do I do if I'm sick of malaria? How do I prevent it? So the moment Kofi begins to ask himself questions like, what caused Amma to be sick? What is malaria? So what caused Amma to be sick will be linking to the causes of malaria. What is malaria? How do I prevent malaria? Then how do I even treat malaria? So now Kofi is building on the knowledge he's having to know what to do in the future. So he's not just keeping the knowledge that he had, he's building on it in order to know what he's going to do in the future. So if Kofi is having wisdom, if Kofi is able to find answers to all these questions that he asks, then he's definitely going to find himself at the wisdom part of the pyramid. So looking at Kofi's illustration, you'd realize that Kofi did not just process the data he collected, he processed it to give meaning. And when he did that, he had information. When he had the information, he wasn't just stuck there. He moved on to put context and then further meaning into the information, and then he gained knowledge out of it. When he gained knowledge out of it, he wasn't stuck there. He still moved on, and that is what you should be doing. Kofi moved on to the wisdom part of the pyramid, where he asked himself the things he could do to help him or any other person not to be sick of malaria. And if someone is to be sick of malaria, what to do? Kofi that is moved on to look for what to do or what to be done in the future. So he put insights, he made insights into the information he had. And that is simply what is expected of each and every one of us. I mean, me and then you. Whenever you get information, most of us do not deal with data, but whenever you get information, just do not be stuck with the information you have. Some information are meant to be consumed. That is fine. We'll look at that in another session. But then what you need to do, especially when you create the information yourself or you are informed, just make sure that you push further to get to the knowledge part of the pyramid and also get to the wisdom part of the pyramid. Be part of that handful of people that do not just consume information. They do well to put further meaning, context, and make insights out of them. Thank you so much for being with me.